start this video with a story about guacamole, and it's gonna all connect, just trust me. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was making the transition from a plant-based diet for my health into an ethical vegan lifestyle. And I was surrounded by videos just waking me up to the truth, and I was just very angry and frustrated. I've shared some of this on my channel before. I had a lot of sensitivity. I was hyper sensitive about vegan issues, especially around my non-vegan family and friends. I was very emotional and reactionary, and understandably so. I mean, I was learning for the first time how humans treat animals, and it was super upsetting to me, and I couldn't believe I hadn't been shared this information before, and I couldn't believe the rest of the world were cooperating and participating in this. I was on a camping trip with some of my husband's family and friends, and I was feeling extra sensitive that weekend because I was definitely the only vegan within miles. Anything someone said or did or what they were eating, I was just like bristling, and I couldn't relax the whole weekend. I just was having an extra sensitive trip. And at dinner one night there was a bowl of guacamole, and I was curious what was in it just because I wasn't good at making guacamole, so I was curious how they made it. So I kept asking and no one was answering me. Hey, what's in the guacamole? What's in the guacamole? And finally someone said she wants to know because she wants to know if she can eat it. So then the person who made it said, and this is how I received it, this is how I thought she said it: no animals were harmed in the making of this guacamole. And my reaction was, when you say that, it makes me feel like you're mocking my lifestyle. And her reaction was, what? No, I'm just saying that there's no animals in the guacamole. And then I said again, it makes me feel like you're mocking my lifestyle. Because I was just so sensitive that I read what she said as being cruel or hateful. When I look back on it now, after all my growth and everything that I have gone through, especially criticism online, I am positive that she probably said it like this: no animals were harmed in the making of this guacamole. She was just being cute and using that clause at the end of films where it says no animals were harmed in the making of this film, and I took it as an attack. I share this story today because I want to talk about when we feel offended by what someone says or how someone says it. What happens when we disagree with someone, especially if that person has a really strong opinion. Throughout my years on YouTube, I have offended hordes of people. People got offended when I said you just have to try this one variety of California avocados, or if you've only ever had a date from the grocery store, then you've never really had a date compared to the ones I get from my farmer's market. People got offended when I said overeating on Thanksgiving was wasteful. People got offended when I answered their question about how to start a yoga practice with an answer I still stand by today: just start and stop asking questions, go to a yoga class or do a yoga video online. And there was a verifiable uproar when I said you can be vegan virtually anywhere, which I still believe. And people really got offended when I said people get offended too easily. I, Hannah McNeely, am a really honest and direct person, but it seems people no longer want honesty. They want everyone to creep around cautiously, never sharing a different perspective so as not to disrupt the peace. But if you know me in real life, you know this is not me at all. In a video about monogamy I posted last week, I received hundreds of commenters complaining that I was being judgy and non-accepting of other people's lifestyles. People were mad because I had a strong opinion against open relationships. In essence, people were mad because I didn't say, it doesn't work for me, but it might work for you, which is not what I believe at all. Let me be really clear. The way you feel about me is none of my business. You're entitled to consider me rude, hostile, abrasive, hateful, or obnoxious just because I don't approve of someone's lifestyle choice. Honestly, your comments, whether positive or negative, have nothing to do with me. Which I hope you know is extremely empowering. If I continued to believe that the comment section or the videos, the critical videos that other YouTubers make about me had anything to do with me, I would not be able to go on continuing to put my face and my life and my ideas out on the internet. I would just crumple like a wet rag and I wouldn't be able to continue. Now that we have that away, I just want to share the thing that took me from 6 years ago from no animals were harmed in making this guacamole Hannah to now. Nowadays, I can stand it when people call me vicious names in the comments, when other YouTubers make critical videos about me, or when viewers email me paragraphs upon paragraphs about how I need to apologize for something I said. I'm never gonna apologize for having an opinion on anything. It's my opinion. Because it is possible to disagree with someone and still be loving. I have people people in my life who aren't vegan, who have completely different political beliefs than I do, who have different religious beliefs than I do, who have been in polyamorous relationships, for example, and yet we're still friends. We can still respect one another even if we disagree. Now, how does one get there? How does one accept that someone has a differing perspective and not get offended? Because trust me, that was not where I was at 6 years ago. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume that the other person is a bad person or hateful. Just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean you have to assign ill intent to them or assume they're out to get you. It just doesn't have to be threatening when someone has a different opinion. I consider it pretty self-important to assume that someone's perspective on something has anything to do with you. Remember, how you experience the world is how you view the world. Your mindset is your reality. The biggest thing I've learned from my years of offending people on the internet is it almost doesn't matter what my opinion is. We live in a time where people take such offense to an opinion that someone's choice might not be good. All that matters to cause an uproar is that I'm not accepting of a choice. Small reminder, and I can't believe I even have to say this, but people who are in polyamorous relationships are not an oppressed group of people. Please stop lumping the choice to live a poly lifestyle into the LGBT world. It is absolutely not the same thing. The truth is, to have an opinion at all, you're gonna bother someone. That's what an opinion is. To have one opinion means there exists an opposing one. And I'm of the mind that expressing opinions is a good thing. Otherwise, we would have no evolution of ideas. Challenging people is what leads to growth. I know that. But by calling someone judgy just because you don't like the way they said something is not actually presenting new ideas or challenging someone's argument. And insinuating that I have to approve of a lifestyle choice without question is not presenting a new argument either. Presenting an opposing argument is explaining why you feel a certain way. Since it's my opinion that poly relationships are never a good idea, if you want to convince me otherwise, you have to explain why they are a good idea or why they're acceptable for some people. You may want to bring in some studies or talk about your own personal experience, or maybe you can reference someone that you know who was able to heal their marriage by sleeping with other people, for example, if that happens. But just saying I have to approve of this lifestyle just because I have to is not a convincing argument. Listen, I value diversity of thought. I hate when someone just agrees with everything I say. I say this sometimes when I meet a new friend and I go, yeah, they're really nice, but they just agree with everything I say. I don't like it. I like when my friends challenge me in conversation. So I'm actually really curious for those of you who maybe have been upset by me when I express a differing opinion. I'm wondering if you feel the same way. Because you may be watching someone online, you enjoy their videos or something, and then you're just horrified when you find out they have differing opinions to you. So I'm genuinely curious, do you have friends in real life with differing viewpoints, or are you only able to be friends with people who agree with everything you think? Because this is what I see in the majority of critical comments that I see online, particularly in my recent video about monogamy. As I scrolled through, it was rare to find a comment where someone was able to thoughtfully challenge my argument when they disagreed. What I saw was accusations of being judgy. What was the point of this video? Just let people live the way they want. You are shaming people. Your opinions are snarky. Listen, I found it important to talk about monogamy because I blatantly disagree with polyamory. It has destroyed relationships and marriages. It has split children's parents apart. My friend who has been in multi-poly relationships and is now done with them said this: most of the commenters have probably never been with any number of the new age hipstery men who use open relationships as a means to stealthily manipulate women into letting them do whatever they want under the guise of spiritual enlightenment. That is why I made this video, because people do get hurt. And listen, in general, I understand where people are coming from. They're trying to be inclusive of everyone and not hurt anyone's feelings and to show support for other lifestyles. But just because I don't agree with someone's lifestyle choice doesn't mean I don't respect them as humans. I agree that people are free to do what they want and make their own choices in life. But I repeat, vocalizing opinions and being willing to challenge them are good things. It's the only way we're ever gonna have productive conversations. We're getting to the point in the world where if you disagree with anyone about anything, you can no longer be friends with them. You can't support them or listen to their perspectives. We have to tiptoe around everyone's feelings because somehow having a differing perspective is considered hateful. I heard someone recently call it emotional incontinence, and I thought it was hilarious and accurate. But let me tell you, my most enriched relationships are ones in which we can have differing perspectives on something. We We totally disagree, yet we can have a conversation about our perspectives without being offended. We end up realizing that most of the time, we want the same thing. We have the same end goal. We just have differing ideas about how to get there. It's not my responsibility to protect your feelings. And if you are offended by me talking about how to get the best dates or how to start a yoga practice or open versus monogamous relationships, you're totally welcome to present your own arguments in the comments below. But if you don't like the way I talk, this is how I talk in real life. I'm a really honest and direct person. I'm just not the kind of person to say things just to make someone feel good. While I'm always polite and respectful, I don't cloak my perspective in fuzzy wording just to make sure no one gets their feelings hurt. Some people really appreciate directness, and some people don't like it as much. Not everyone is going to receive the way I talk, and honestly, I'm okay with that. And you know this about me, I'm such a words person. Word choice is extremely important to me. So I say exactly what I mean, and I mean what I say. In this recent example, I don't think polyamorous relationships are a good idea. Actually, it's kind of funny when I tell my friends that I have a habit of offending people on my channel, they're really surprised because I'm a really nice person. I'm just honest. So I want to welcome you to stop clicking on my videos if you can't handle my talking style. I really am okay with it. I realized very quickly after starting my channel that I'm just too honest and too opinionated for some people's liking, and that's okay. But hear me right. You can comment on my channel however you want. I'm not trying to say that you calling me judgy is hurting my own feelings, because I truly do believe that the way you see me or your opinions about me aren't any of my business. But the reason I'm making this video and the reason I care so much about this is because I'm addressing the larger issue that if we can't have a conversation just because we have two differing ideas or two differing opinions, we're never going to progress in our ideas and we're never going to be able to challenge each other. But here's the greater message. Choose to empower yourself not to be so easily affected by someone else's words. We just live in this hypersensitive world right now that it's making it impossible to talk freely. And it goes especially far when you feel offended for someone else. Not everyone you're trying to protect feels the need for you to stand up for them. Because you can have the same situation and two people will have completely different reactions to it because of how they view the world. And that's the whole point. When you empower yourself to be confident enough, you won't be so easily offended by someone else's views, even if you completely disagree with them. Think about it this way. If someone makes the choice to live a polyamorous lifestyle and feels so insecure in that choice that one person's opinion is gonna make them feel shamed, is that really on me? Conversely, someone who lives poly and is very secure in that choice is going to hear this opposing opinion and think, I disagree, and either just move on or respond with their own argument about why their choice is valid. These are two completely different reactions to the same situation because your mindset is everything. So let me say it this way. When I'm direct and honest in my videos, I'm not offending anyone. They are getting offended. When someone shares an opinion, everyone has a choice as to how they're going to respond to that vocalized perspective. People don't have to assume someone is being hateful. In fact, we shouldn't assume ill intent because it's only going to create more tension for us. Think about all the freedom people will experience when they stop making assumptions and stop being so sensitive. My favorite people to have conversations with are those who are willing to listen and remain open and respond with their own perspective. I cannot stand having conversations with someone who is so tender that if I just look at them too hard, they run away and call me judgy. I really encourage you to do the inner work and become more secure in yourself. So if this is something you really do want to start working on, my first suggestion is to start actively listening to people you already know you disagree with. Really listening. And then just ask them, why do you feel this way, or what brought you to this conclusion? Just practice remaining calm while listening and giving people the benefit of the doubt. Just remind yourself that everyone believes what they believe for a reason, so it's your job to find out why. Also, you can read books like The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. That one has helped so many people. And also anything by the wonderful Brené Brown. And then just be very aware of the people in your feed and in your life who are hypersensitive, just so you don't get sucked back into it. I really wish I heard this advice 10 years ago. Because listen, if you are actually open to hearing different perspectives, you might learn something interesting. I've actually received emails from people saying, wow, thank you so much for talking about this, because no one else does. I got messages from friends who are looking into the whole conscious monogamy thing because they'd never heard of it before. And because honestly, it's not like regular old monogamy. It's conscious monogamy. It's not the same. I don't know if I was super clear in that original video, because I'm not saying all monogamy is inevitably healthy just because it's monogamy. I'm talking about true monogamy, real intimacy and no lies, no fakeness, no porn. Monogamous relationships are not always good. I know that. I mean, just look at the divorce rate. The whole point of my video was to explain that monogamous sex doesn't have to be boring and a reason to open your relationship. It's something that's rarely discussed, and so I discussed it. I'm just so tired of people lying or sugarcoating just to protect the emotional response of the listener. It's not productive and will get us nowhere if we continue down this path. So don't be myopic, don't be short-sighted, and don't cancel someone just because you don't like how they said something. But again, comment away.